All right, here we are. Saturday, September 17th, 18th, 18th. Today's the 18th. I don't know what day things are
It's the
anymore.
18th.
But we are here to talk about Power Rangers Time Force, the episodes 22, 23, 24, and 25 for this week because Movie Madness is a two-parter. Last week, if you were with us, you'll remember that on Amazon, the way the episodes are aired on there are a little out of order. So 21 and 22 are flipped. So we talked about Lovestruck Rangers last week, and this week we'll briefly go over was it the last race? Is that what it was?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah,
I watched
the last
Struck
race.
Rangers. I'm thinking that's what we were covering. Like, oh, the
That's fine.
last.
Both of them were bad, so it's okay.
Hey, okay. Love Struck Rangers was funny as it is. All right. Sometimes the bad ones tend to be the funniest.
I will say Lovestruck. I did enjoy Lovestruck Rangers more than the last race.
Okay.
But since you haven't been with us, since you watched one episode that we talked about last week, and I watched one episode that we didn't talk about last week, why don't you give us your opinion on the Lovestruck Rangers episode?
It was funny. I just say it's a funny kind of episode. Just to see the guys kind of be put in certain situations and having Jen and Katie go off to fight Ransik on their own and still get their butts kicked. Ransik's like that one villain that they can't defeat, and it shows they really can't defeat him. Like regardless, fighting out of suit or in suit, like they can't defeat Ransik. And I find it funny how Trip and Lucas were easily manipulated, and Wes is like the only one that's just like, Contemtra's trying to put him under a spell and everything. He's trying to ask West out. He's like, please, it's just a tennis ball, no big deal. Wes is easily trying to brush her
Yeah.
off. Like Wes is, I'm like, out of all three of them, and Trip's supposed to be the smart one. Well, then again, Trip is kind of gullible,
Yeah,
so
he's naive. I think naive. He's
yeah,
still.
it's not Trip's fault, but
Yeah.
Wes, he's definitely smarter to realize, like, look, I'm busy, I'm working, take a hike.
But even more than that with Wes, it was like I'm kind of into Jen, so
Oh,
take a hike.
well, like there's actually someone right now I'm actually interested in. Not you. Goodbye. Thank you. But
Yeah.
and just seeing them, fight each other and of course, the whole almost could have had happened kiss at the end. I was like,
Mm.
I'm like, oh yeah, children's show. I guess that's the rule.
Okay, so in the chat, we have Craig Anderson, Thomas Franco, and Donnie Pearson. Thank you guys for joining us. Welcome. We are doing a slightly shorter show today. It's just Blackwig and myself. And you know, these episodes, I like for me, out of these that we watched, the best of them was the Movie Madness two-parter. Um,
Why was it when I was watching Movie Madness, I'm just like, I know Josh is gonna have a lot to say about this, cause come like I know Josh, he's worked in production, he's done this stuff before. I've been on a movie set before as an extra, so I know the ins and outs and how these things worked. I did stage, I've done
yeah,
productions in college, so I know how this is.
yeah. So I mean, we'll get to that episode in a few minutes because there's a few things that I recognized in it, and there were some things that I didn't.
Okay.
So it's trying to figure some stuff out. So, but I'm sure you may be able to help me out with that.
Okay.
Let's talk briefly about I guess episode 21/22, depending on which platform you're on. You just discussed Lovestruck Rangers, so now let's talk about the last race.
I found this episode kind of pointless, and I know Lucas is not everybody's favorite Blue Ranger. He's just the cool guy of the team. I feel this episode is pretty much copy and paste of its Sentai counterpart. Lucas has this friend named Dash. He got caught in a driving incident, and then Lucas had to testify against him, and then Dash got put into cryogenic confinement. So he escapes. He wants revenge against Lucas, and just the conclusion of it, like how they just end their feud is like, Dash, stop, you're gonna hit somebody. Dash stops and he's like, oh my gosh, If I didn't stop, I could have hit them. Thanks, Lucas. You actually helped me. And then Nadir puts like a mind control armor around him, and then that's, you guys know the rest. That's
Yeah, for me, like my problem wasn't so much Lucas in this episode. It was just the story overall. Um, it just didn't grab me. Like I think the concept itself was interesting. Like having Lucas had, like, it was Judge Dredd, sort of. The first movie, not
the
Dread, the
Stallone
second one, the
version.
Stallone one, where
Oh,
like he had to testify against his friend, put his friend in jail, because he actually did something wrong, and now he's out and he's going to get revenge. Until he figures out what he was doing was wrong. That's not Judge Dredd, but like the beginning part. But anyway, it was I don't know, like the whole thing with Nadira and being like, I'm gonna use you as my chauffeur and you're gonna take me shopping, and
it's
like all of that.
Nadira. She does this all the time. It's Nadira. It's
But and like her character annoys me, like overall, but not as much as she did in this episode. Like in this episode, I just wanted it to stop. Like I like she was just annoying and annoying.
you just gotta put it. Look, sometimes you just gotta put up with Nadira. You just gotta put up with her.
Well, I mean, you don't. You could capture her and put her in like one of those little things and send her off
I
to time
mean,
jail or whatever.
she has a focal point to the plot. I'm not saying when, but she does have a focal point to
Oh,
the plot.
right now her focal point is just being annoying. Uh, at least in
She's
this episode.
she's been acting like that since
In this
episode
episode,
one.
she has been, but like I felt like in this one, it just went like up and way beyond what it had been previously. Like maybe it's just because the story in this episode was also kind of boring,
Okay,
but
and I
but
can understand that.
it just like dealing with her in this episode like maybe because she was amped up a little bit, but also because the storyline just wasn't wasn't there. But I just felt like I was just like, no, I'm good. I don't need to
But
watch
yeah,
you
this
anymore.
is
And
the
Craig
episode.
Anderson agreed. He said that this episode was boring.
This episode is definitely one of those that just I don't really care for. It's kind of like whatchamacallit, that episode after the Quantum Ranger arc, Bodyguard and Blue. It's kind of like that
Yeah,
one.
it's like a throwaway episode. Nothing really that happened in this episode actually does anything significant for the overall storyline of the season.
Lucas. Yeah, it really doesn't do anything for Lucas at all. Because after coming out the Quantum Ranger arc, then you get Bodyguard and Blue, where Lucas has to like protect the scientist's little girl and everything. I'm like, okay, but what does that do for his character? And I
Mm-hmm.
get what the point of to do this to Lucas is to put, it's basically to put the cool guy in awkward situations.
Well,
And
yeah, it was that, and to make him to show you that he actually is a good person. Like it's obviously a character building episode for him.
mhm,
It's just a shame that they didn't have a better story for it.
yeah,
I
that's that's
I can't even really suggest any ways that this episode could have been better, other than um, making a completely different episode. It just
I agree.
I don't know.
I
Um,
agree.
so let's move on to the next episode we got here, Full Exposure. This one was actually pretty interesting.
Okay, I have some words to say about this episode because every time I rewatch Time Force, this is the one episode that always goes over my head the most. Like I remember like majority of the episodes, the last race, I just remember it just being so boring. But for some reason, Full Exposure, every time I get to it,
You're like, wait, which one was this?
Full Exposure.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm
everything.
saying is that what you mean? Like you just forget this episode?
No, I just like I don't know why, but it's just it goes over my head. I forget about it that it's even there, and then
Yeah,
every
yeah.
and plus it's a Katie focused episode. And we all know Katie doesn't also get that many focused episodes either. This is like this is like her last one that she gets. And I watched the episode, and also a few years ago, like I guess like 2 years ago, I was doing researching to see, because if you look at this episode, you see how much heavy destruction is in this episode overall. Right. And like you could tell, like every time the mutant in the episode blasts like somewhere, you see explosions of fire comes across the screen, and you realize, oh, that's an edit. That's an edit. And the parts with Katie and the dude Mitch when they're in the building and Katie's trying to save them, I look at the original footage and I was like, oh yeah, that is not gonna work today anymore. Because this is like one of the most heavy edited Time Force episodes because, you know, they had to do some changes due to, you know, the 9/11 attack. Right. And this episode definitely was, you know, it was very, so they had to work some changes around it. But I don't know what it's just like, it's so destruction heavy, and yet I just forget about it sometimes.
Yeah, so the overall storyline here for those of you watching is I'm sure you guys know, but I'll just give you a brief recap. Katie takes an odd job with a photographer from basically the National Enquirer type place. They call it the Inquisitor, but it's the National, you know, like Batboy found in cave after 30 years. Like that's the kind of stuff that they do in here.
Yeah.
And this photographer or journalist, whatever you want to call him, for the paper, he is charged with getting pictures of who the Power Rangers actually are in real life. And Katie didn't know that when she took the job, but now that she found out, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to watch this guy and make sure that he doesn't actually figure out who we are. And of course, that doesn't happen, and he finds out who they are. And now she has to convince him not to actually go through with submitting the photos and revealing their identity to the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
So here's my question with that, though. In Lightspeed Rescue, everyone knew who the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers were, right?
Yes.
Where does this episode take place in comparison to that? Is this in the same dimension, or is this in a different
same universe? Same universe.
So why do they care if the public
because they're not
they're
not from the future. They know, of course, there's other Rangers out there. Here's the thing. And of course, this goes into like multiverse talk and continuity talk, and I hate going into those topics. From MMPR to Jungle Fury, everything in that universe is connected. There's 3 universes in Power Rangers. That universe, you have the RPM universe, which is a different dimension, and you have the Dino Charge universe where the dinosaurs actually live to see another day.
Right.
So with this universe, when every time a single Ranger team meets each other or like meets someone, some of them will say like when Andros met Leo, he was like, I was there the day the Rangers saved the Earth. Or like when he met him, was like, oh, you're Andros, the Red Ranger. Or when Leo met the Lightspeed Rangers, Kelsey was like, hey, you're Leo, the Red Ranger. So it's kind of like that, like, hey, I know you, it's probably
but
like,
it also kind of makes sense that the Rangers know who the other Rangers are.
Yeah, it's like
that I understand. It's just, it's weird to me that after a season where the public knew the public identities of the Rangers, that now we're going back to one where they all have to have secret identities. Like, I get the whole, well, they're from the future thing, and that they don't actually exist back here, but at the same time, no one knows that they're from the future. So
I think it will probably be a big hit on I guess it'll probably be a big hit on Wes because now his father knows he's a Ranger. So if word got out that, Mr. Collins, his son is the Red Ranger, we gotta tell this to the world. I mean, they gotta his father will already know because
right.
Blah blah blah, and Eric is already a public service because he's the Quantum Ranger. I'm pretty sure everyone, he's because the Silver Guardians are public service. So I guess with identity, the Ranger's identity versus Eric's identity, because since he's part of a public service that requires him to be registered to reveal his identity, it's different. So I guess it's basically kind of like a vigilante kind of situation. Like, they're doing this for the public; they have to register themselves to make their identities public, yada yada yada.
But people know that the Power Rangers are out there saving them. Like it's one of those things where I get it in like Superman and like DC Comics, and with Marvel. Well, I mean, the MCU doesn't even do secret identities anymore, really, except for Peter Parker. Like, he was the only one that actually had a secret identity out of all the Avengers. Everyone else, they knew who everyone was, which is one of the reasons why Civil War didn't really work for me all that well. But in the Ranger universe, it's just, I don't know. It made sense up to the point of Lightspeed Rescue, and then once I saw, okay, well, the public knows who they are, it just felt weird going back to them having a secret identity again, being in the same universe that Lightspeed Rescue existed in, if that makes sense.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But I mean, I can't. I don't really have necessarily an answer for that.
Yeah, it's a kids show, so you just kind of have
Yeah.
to go with it. I get that, but we're adults talking about it, so we kind of have to bring those
Yeah.
weird incongruities. Yeah, things that don't necessarily line up, because that's the kind of stuff that we're going to notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this episode was fun. At the end of the day, or at the end of the episode, there was a lesson learned from the photographer, about caring for other people and not just himself.
Mhm.
So there was something there, and I felt that's something that was kind of not necessarily lacking from the last race episode, because there was the whole thing with with between Lucas and Dash, and Dash finally coming to the understanding of why Lucas did what he did, and that he actually did something wrong, and whatever. But it just the way it played out in that story versus the way it played out in this story, it was much better done in this one than in that one.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
So let's move on to movie madness.
Yes.
Okay.
Two-parter.
Yeah, this one was actually really fun.
This
I
episode, well, this two-parter is based the cat. This is widely known as the cast's favorite episode. Like, they love this episode so much.
I can see why.
Yeah, it's just it just free reigns to do whatever they want. And also, these two episodes were directed by Koichi Sakamoto, very well known tokusatsu director. He's pretty much been on the Power Ranger. He was in charge, Power Ranger stunt team, and he's pretty much directed a lot. He's directed a lot of Power Rangers episodes. Very well known director. I just love how this I'm about to say movie. This episode just goes, like, just do whatever you want. It just puts the Rangers in randoms in their favorite kind of genre of movies,
Right.
do whatever they want, and just go on and have fun with it. It's like, it's one of those kind of episodes where you just, you place the character in a situation, and it's enjoyable. You just love it regardless, no matter how silly it is.
So what I've been trying to figure out is which studio was the backdrop for the studio.
I have no idea. I don't know the studio lots like
And
that.
it doesn't. So it's not listed in the fandom article. I couldn't find it doing other searches. It doesn't say where it's at. So I'm gonna have to like hit Jason Font or one of the other guys up, and
He's gonna. It's
and
funny
like,
that
hey,
funny that you mentioned Jason Font. He's actually gonna be at New York Comic Con. So
oh really?
if you want, I can ask him, and we'll see. I'll bring back the answer. See what he says.
Yeah, let's see if we can let's see if we can. If I don't find out the answer before you go to New York Comic Con, we'll make that thing.
Okay, yeah. The con is
Or
3 weeks.
well,
So
actually, no. You know what? If you're going, just talk to him about this episode anyway.
yeah, I'm just gonna ask him about it, because
just ask him about this episode. Just be like,
yeah,
hey,
I just had a question. I'll be like, I just had a question about Movie Madness. Like, what studio lot did you guys film that on?
So to me, it looked like Warner Brothers. I've only worked a couple of times on the Warner Brothers lot, but just from the view behind it, it looked like that's what it was. Because I've worked on the Warner Brothers lot, the Universal Studios lot. I've been on the Fox lot, but I haven't actually worked on a show shooting there.
I did not know Fox had a lot.
And Paramount. I've been on the Paramount lot too. But again, I haven't actually worked on that one. And then there's a few other like smaller studios like Sony. I have worked on the Sony Studios lot, but that one it's a lot smaller than the others. but yeah, the way the backgrounds and everything looked in this episode, and based off of where the sound stages were in comparison to the facade, the building facades, I think it
Mhm.
was Warner Brothers, but I'm not
I feel like it
I'm
could be
not
Warner Bros.
100%
Because
sure.
as you're saying that, you know what? I just got reminded of that movie Looney Tunes Back in Action, where they
Hmm.
actually were filming.
Yeah,
The whole
yeah,
movie
yeah.
was in the Warner Brothers movie lot. So I'm thinking like maybe that could have been the WB lot that they were filming on.
It
Maybe.
it. It looked like it. Like some of the sound stages looked like some of the sound stages over at Universal, but sound stages themselves all kind of look the same. So
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to say. And then there was also the scene where Wes, Jason Font, uh, or not Jason Font, sorry, Eric. He's doing the Tarzan thing and swings into the building, and
Yeah.
the facade of the building that he swung into was like a pink, like a polished pink concrete look.
Hmm.
And I know I've seen that before, and I can't like I can't remember where I've seen it.
It's yeah. I never.
Because
Yes.
again, it looked like it could have been a building over at Universal, but at the same time, it looked like it could have been a building at Warner Brothers. Because like
Yeah.
those two production spaces they're close together, so the view in the distance of like the valley and the mountains and the hills in the background is going to be very similar depending on the angle that you're looking out from.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I'm curious to find that out. In the chat, we've got Jared Hodges joined us a little while ago. So welcome, Jared Hodges. Edward Sanchez Production says that he loves movie madness so much. And Craig Anderson wants to know, what genre movie would you be trapped in?
Hmm.
For him, it would be a spy movie.
What about you?
For me, it would probably be something sci-fi.
I,
Um,
not surprised by that at all.
or well, it would either be sci-fi or a slapstick comedy. Like
Okay.
or both, something like Spaceballs, like
Oh my
that would
god.
probably be what I would be stuck in.
Spaceballs is really ridiculous.
Dude,
Uh,
so off topic briefly, but last week, not this past week, but the week before, I went to Star Trek Day,
oh,
and got to do some red carpet interviews, and see some of the panels that they had there. The interviews themselves are up over on if you watch a wrestling show, Jay. She actually had me and Joe go for her channel, Bad Culture TV, and
uh,
you can go and you can see some of the interviews are posted up there already. The rest should be coming soon.
did you
But
get to interview William Shatner?
I
I'll
did
just
not.
act.
He wasn't there,
Oh,
which was sad because like I've missed out on interviewing him 3 times now.
average.
I was supposed to interview him at WonderCon a few years ago,
Uh,
uh, but he either left early or was running late. I don't remember which one it was. And when I was scheduled to go and talk to him, he wasn't at the booth, at his booth.
gotcha.
The next time I was at the Saturn Awards, and his handler came over to me and Joe. We're like, "Hey, do you want to talk to William Shatner?" And both of us were like, "Fuck yeah, we do." Uh, and so his handler went over and was like, "Hey, so next year you gotta go over and talk to these guys over here." Um, and he went to the person next to us, who was like some dude with a puppet. Like he had a puppet that he was interviewing people with.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I seen.
It was so weird. And both Joe and I were like, and then this I don't know if he was actually scheduled to be at Star Trek Day or not, but you would assume that he would have been there.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kirk, Captain Kirk.
but yeah, but he wasn't. But I did talk to Tim Russ, who he was in one of the original series movies, and he has at least had an appearance in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, and then he was a regular main character on Star Trek Voyager.
Oh,
All different characters on each in every instance. Um, but he was at Star Trek Day, and I got to talk to him, and he was in space. He was in Spaceballs for all of like 10 seconds. But I just brought that up to him, and he just started cracking up. So that's you know off topic story, but I thought it was funny.
he's actually also going to be at New York Comic Con as
Is he?
well. Yes.
I like him. He's a fun dude to talk to.
I
But let's see. Going back to the chat here for a second. Jared Hodges says that he would be in a sci-fi horror movie. Donnie Pearson is pointing out that Patrick Stewart was not at Star Trek Day either. Yeah, he was supposed to be, but he for some reason he wasn't able to go. Not sure
Patrick
exactly
Stewart's always busy.
what it was. But yeah, this episode was really fun. I really enjoyed that they took their time with the different genres that each of the different characters got thrown into.
Yep.
The fact that that Wes and Trip were thrown into the Western because they were talking about Westerns earlier, and Jen was thrown into the samurai movie, a Hong Kong movie because she was a big fan of this Frankie Chan, was that his name? He was supposed to be Jack. He was supposed to be Jackie Chan, but
yeah.
Um, Eric being in Tarzan, I don't like that one. That one confused me a little bit. I couldn't piece together why they put him into that.
As I was watching that scene, I'm thinking like, does Hollywood still make those kind of jungle movies nowadays anymore?
Well, do you know who Alexander Skarsgard is?
You had me at Skarsgard.
Okay, so Alexander Skarsgard, he's the kid of the elder Skarsgard, Stellan Skarsgard, who was in Thor, Thor 2,
Oh,
the Avengers, the he was also in the Exorcist prequel, but it's one of his kids.
okay.
So Alexander Skarsgard was one of the main characters in True Blood. He was also in Battleship, but he did a Tarzan movie, like maybe like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of still a thing. Jungle Book, that was a thing not too long. You know, they did the live action Jungle Book not too long ago.
Yeah.
So they're still happening. I don't think it's as big of a market as it used to be, but
Yeah.
they're definitely still around.
Okay. Just
but yeah, I don't know why Eric was put into that.
maybe
It was just kind of
smaller
like
budget. Smaller budget. I mean, the show is kind of sci-fi-esque as it is, so I guess they didn't need to do like a sci-fi movie.
Because what's her name? Katie went into a musical, and
Yeah.
they had that whole musical number there, but she had mentioned like something about musicals before, so
Yes.
so it was like it doesn't matter, but I wish we had gotten something from Eric like that would have indicated why that was the genre of movie that he got thrown into.
Who knows? We'll probably, whenever we see Dan Southworth, we can ask.
Yeah. But it was still fun. Like the monkey, getting him out of the cage.
I like how he, to get his attention, he was like,
Yeah. Like the whole like this whole thing was just so much fun. What's funny here too is that there was so much like there's so many Easter eggs just for movies in general. The fight sequence that Wes was fighting in, that was like that was inspired by Rumble in the Bronx, like an actual Jackie Chan movie.
Right.
The outfit that Ransik was wearing and some of the
From
cars
Mad
that
Max.
they were driving around in were inspired by Mad Max, and because Vernon Wells was in one of the Mad Max films, or two of the Mad Max films, I think.
I think it was in one of them.
So yeah, it's just fun. Like the storyline itself is kind of like whatever, but it doesn't matter because the episode itself is just fun.
I just love the little antics that happen, especially the antics of Ransik and Nadira. How Ransik's coming to Cinecon, he's like, "Could you put Nadira in the film?" I'm like, "Okay, let me put this in a way for you to understand. Put her in the film."
That was fun, and then at like they finished that battle, and Ransik is just kind of like sitting there in the wreck afterwards, and Cinecon, the Cinecon, or what was that? Was that his name? Cinecon?
Yeah, Cinecon.
Cinecon comes over, and is like, "All right, I just need one more thing from you." And cut, we're good. And then Ransik just gets up and walks away. I was like, this is great. Like the whole thing was just so meta that
it's so hilarious. It's so funny. You just enjoy it.
Yeah. It was fun. After those two episodes, the Lovestruck, not really Lovestruck Rangers, but more so after the the last race one, which I was just like, if I have to watch another episode like this, I just would have been really annoyed. But no, these were just like so much fun. Just like pulling, like this is the kind of thing where like I just have fun pulling out all those small little Easter eggs from it, and like trying to figure out the studio that was shot in, like all that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that I enjoy in like, good like comedy episodes, and
Yep.
that's really what this was. We have Craig Anderson in the chat here saying that he hates the live action Disney movies, but he loves the live action Jungle Book. He actually thinks that's better than the animated movie. I don't know that I saw the live action Jungle Book. I saw part of the Andy Serkis one that was on Netflix, but I didn't see the Disney one at all.
The live action Jungle Book movie wasn't all that bad. It was, you know, I guess I'm not. It wasn't Disney's first attempt at a live action movie,
Yeah,
but
I think
it was.
Cinderella was the first one, right?
No, it goes further than that. It was 101
Dalmatians. That's right.
Yeah,
Completely forgot
but
about that one.
Live action Jungle Book,
But
I wouldn't say it's better than the animated, but it's still groundbreaking. I will say that.
Yeah, well, all the effects and everything they did in it looked amazing. I just haven't actually sat down and watched the movie. We also have Ghost Heart Friends Ships Field Roy Schools. I think I got that right.
That's quite a name.
He says all the Super Power Rangers is boring on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore.
It's not on Netflix
anymore. Dino Fury is though.
No, MMPR, Dino Fury, Beast Morphers. Those are only seasons that are on Netflix.
See, they skipped the Black Rangers to fight. They only showed the blue, red, green, and pink fight. What happened to the Black Rangers? I don't know. It seems like if you're just here to troll Simon Bennett, I'm gonna block you from the chat. So just whatever.
Ignore.
I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to this stuff. Were there any other Easter eggs from like previous Power Rangers stuff that you were able to pull out or going on here?
Probably not. I'm a sucker for Easter eggs, but I never really noticed any Easter eggs with this episode. This episode is just like I just sit down and just enjoy just because of how much fun it is. And oh wait, actually I just remembered that that saloon that they were filming in, that's the same set from Lost Galaxy and In Space, Onyx.
Onyx, yep.
Yeah, I was just like, wait a minute.
Like as soon as they walked in there, I was like, I know I've seen this before. Twice now.
Yeah, that's
because it was used before that too, wasn't it? What wasn't it? It was in both In Space and Lost Galaxy, right?
Yep, that was it.
There was also in the jungle movie scene the masks that the natives wore. Those were the same ones from the Turbo movie.
I did not know that because I don't really pay attention to the Turbo movie that much. I find all the Power Rangers movies to be unwatchable. Like I
like the 2017 movie. I enjoyed it. I feel like I enjoyed that one though more than the original two, just because
a different take.
It not only was it a different take, but it was a better quality movie. Just like all around it, like it had a bigger budget. Not that the people, excuse me, not that anyone in the first movie weren't real actors, but the guys that they got, everyone in the 2017 movie were actors before. Whereas with the MMPR team, they were all, for the most part, like gymnasts and martial artists. Kind of converted over to being actors, with the exception of what's her name, Kimberly.
No, she
was an actress before Power Rangers, wasn't she?
I don't know. I
don't remember. And I'm not saying that any of them are bad, but you can obviously see the difference between.
They had their they were in the field.
Yeah, just production value on this on the 2017 movie was just a lot better. But I do enjoy watching the MMPR movie just for fun because it's you know it's just good hokey fun. It's you
Yes.
know. Um, and then the last thing that I had to look up that it confirms for me here on the fandom page is that one of the costumes the Rangers use to disguise themselves as band members has what looks like Lord Zed's mask.
I couldn't even tell.
I
I
saw that. I was like, that kind of looks like Lord Zed, but I wasn't sure. So this confirms that it looks like it, but not whether it was or not. Um, I also really enjoyed the scene where all of them were in drag.
that was
It was just so funny.
it was funny.
Just because Jason Font is such a large dude, and just seeing him in a dress and a wig,
They pulled that scene off so well.
it reminded me a little bit of Tu Wong Fu. Or
I don't know that.
To Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. It was like an early '90s film starring Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo. Where
I was about to say, was Woody Harrelson in it?
I
Because you know
don't
how.
think he was, but the three of them were drag queens that got stuck in like
Oh,
this
that
little
movie was
small
on. It
town.
was on Netflix. That movie was on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but I saw it. I scrolled past it on Netflix
It's
like one
fun.
time.
By today's standards, it might, like, some people might consider it a little offensive.
Offensive.
But if you watch it through the lens of the time that it came out, um, it's 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 fun. That's really all I can say.
Okay, I got it.
But there was also Wes, like specifically Wes. He reminded me of. Have you ever seen Tango and Cash with Sylvester Stallone and
No,
Kurt Russell?
no, I have not.
So there's a scene in that movie where Kurt Russell was trying to hide from police, and he had met up with Sylvester Stallone's sister, who was Terry Hatcher, who's Lois Lane from
Oh,
The Adventures
Lois
of
and
Lois and
Clark.
Clark, and she was a dancer at a club, and so they put Kurt Russell into drag to so that he was disguised from the police on the way out, and as soon as he walks out, you're like, that's Kurt Russell in a dress, and then it pans up, and you're like, and that's it. That's immediately what I thought when seeing Wes.
Wow.
Some other random notes from this episode. The episode's plot is the same one used in Zio's invasion of the Ranger Snatchers.
Oh, right. The Zeo had kind of like that movie-esque kind of episode.
Uh,
Not
th-
not to the quality of this one, but a little similar.
this is the first and only time the Trans Warp Megazord, which is actually named in this episode, is showed fighting a monster.
Yeah. Now you get to see that Megazord in action
Actually,
instead
do
of just.
something, yeah, instead of just doing the weird push through. Cinecon's film title would be used for the finale of Wild Force.
Yes, it would be. Well, in that it was called the end of the Power Rangers. So, but
Um,
it just adds extra word to it.
Part 1 used absolutely no Sentai footage, so that was all original
Oh
American
yes, that's
footage.
right. Yeah, full originality of the footage. Full originality. No Sentai footage until like with the Megazord battle.
Yeah.
And you also
And
get some original Megazord footage in there too, in the cockpit. If you may have
yeah,
noticed.
yeah. So it says that here too. This is the first time the Megazord cockpit is shown in American footage. Also, in Part 1, the Rangers don't actually appear morphed.
Oh yes, they don't. They don't appear morph until like part 2.
Yeah. So yeah. So overall, this grouping of episodes I enjoyed. I did have my problems with the last race, but I enjoyed this one a lot more than full exposure. But I didn't not like that one.
That's understood. That's understood.
Going back to the chat for just a moment, Craig Anderson, I put that Ghost Heart guy in timeout just because he
Oh, good,
was.
good.
But Craig Anderson says a lot of fans keep complaining about Q Ranger and the Cops and Robber season not being adapted. But I think they should go back and adapt Zioger or Tokuger.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let this be the last time I have to say this. Tokuger is not gonna get adapted, people. There's no way trains are going to sell as yes, we already got Thomas the Tank Engine, but we're not a show with 5, 6 people with train aesthetic spandex is not gonna sell. It's not as ridiculous as it may sound. As cool as Tokuger may be, it's not gonna happen. And as for Zoojer, trust me, I thought that was gonna be the case, but the animal aesthetic could work, but the Zords being like Minecraft Zords, no. It's not gonna happen. Look, at this point, I'm just, and this goes back to like the whole when Simon Bennett was on Twitter explaining like, oh yeah, we're not gonna be adapting this season. It basically just had.
Sorry, did you see that he recently came out? I was like, all right, I'm not answering any more
Yes,
questions about
yes,
Power Rangers
yeah.
on
It's just
here on Twitter anymore.
it's just basically comes to the point, just
People are
like,
ridiculous.
I mean, I get it. People get butt hurt when their most anticipated or like their favorite seasons are not going to get adapted.
But they can watch those seasons.
Exactly. I mean, not
I've never I know we all bitched about this a lot at the like before we started this when a lot of this stuff was coming up. But I just legit don't understand why people are like, oh well, this season needs to be adapted and this season needs to be adapted.
It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be adapted.
Just watch the Super Sentai. Like
exactly.
why do you need an American adaptation of it if you have the original Sentai version that you can that you have watched? Like I understand that it's not as easy to get the Sentai footage over here, but if you're like complaining that you want that season to be adapted, I would hope that you saw it, because if you didn't see it, why do you want it to be adapted? Like what different? I don't understand the difference that it makes.
It's
I don't know, but one other question here. Craig Anderson does ask, other than Q Ranger, what Super Sentai season would you like to see adapted? I can't answer that because I don't know Super Sentai.
What do I always say? I always say 2 words: surprise me. That's all I say. 2 words. Whatever season, whatever they try to adapt next, I just say surprise me, because I don't like to have my hopes up. Because granted, when before Beast War first started, we all thought that the next season would be either Zoojer or Q Ranger, and then you find out Hasbro made the bold move to say like, oh, we're gonna adapt Go Busters, and trust me, that was the biggest curveball I ever seen.
I have, I think, a better question.
Okay.
If we got a completely original Power Rangers series, like not an adaptation from Super Sentai, what would you want the theme to be?
Definitely something that hasn't.
This is out to you guys in the chat as well. If you could pick anything for the theme of a brand new original season, what would you want to see it be?
Something that they
finish sentences.
Something that they never done before. They've done magic. They've done ninjas many times. Race cars, space. I would say, I mean, I know they did magic with Mystic Force, but I want to see them go a little bit deeper with the fantasy aspect. I would say take a page out of Zoo Ranger's book where, each of the 5 Rangers are from different tribes, and, they all have a specific, like a specific, guardian that watches over that specific tribe. I would say go that route. Take a page out of Zoo Ranger's book. Don't copy it, beat for beat for beat for beat.
Right.
But that's just an idea. And I don't know. I guess try to do something like Greek mythology kind of
I was gonna say that. That's what I was gonna say too. Like I think like not just Greek, but like just like mythology. Like Greek mythology,
something
like
a
Norse
mythology kind of
like
season
like something with like Odin and Loki, like that kind of stuff. Like I know we got Loki in the MCU, but like honestly, if Power Rangers like came out and was like, okay, we're doing a Norse mythology themed season and Loki is going to be one of the characters,
people are gonna expect like, oh, Tom Hiddleston's gonna be in Power.
Yeah, like I mean, that's gonna get them a lot of attention because like that's what people are going to expect. Not necessarily Tom Hiddleston, but they're like, oh, well, I need to see this version of Loki. Um, Jared Hodges says futuristic and fantasy beasts theme. Craig Anderson says I'd love to do one about knights or insects.
Oh,
Um,
insect kind of.
I'd be down with like a new a sci-fi with a different version of like the in space type thing. I would love to see something with more
Something like cybernetic beast. I mean, not cybernetic. Cybernetic kind of Matrix style, kind
yeah
of.
like a Matrix style or like uh uh I don't know, like Close Encounters, where you know maybe some sort of like alien theme
Okay.
where it's like spaceships, and like all the Zords are like spaceships. Like I
Or
think
something,
because
or
like
basically kind of like something
in
that's like off, something that's away from Earth, that's off planet, where everybody's
right
like
yeah
pretty
like
much alien.
something closer to I guess like Transformers,
Okay,
but also not Transformers because
I get it.
obviously Power Rangers and Transformers have a lot in common already.
I mean,
Uh,
they're already owned by
yeah.
the same brand.
Speaking of that too, though, the new He-Man series dropped on Netflix last night. The kids show, not Revelation.
Not the Revelation one.
Yeah,
I
because
know.
Revelation is targeting adults. This the other He-Man show is targeting kids. Um,
Aha.
it kind of reminds me of Power Rangers a little bit, honestly. Or
It
like
it sells.
it,
It
it looks like
sells.
it's Sentai inspired. The like He-Man transforms from a kid into He-Man, but then they changed the history of some of the characters a little bit.
Hmm.
So it's definitely an adaptation. It's not like Man at Arms is no longer Teela's father. Teela is now a magic user. Like full on magic user from the beginning, because like in the original cartoon, she started learning magic because she was supposed to be like the next sorceress, like towards the end of the series, I think.
Okay.
But in this, she's a magic user from the beginning. Skeletor starts off as Kaldor, and we actually learn about him being Adam's uncle. So
Ooh, that's a nice twist.
it's interesting, but kind of like in Shazam, where Shazam was able to share the power with everyone.
Hmm.
That's kind of how, because on the cover you can see that like the entire team all has like their own special stuff. I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but like there's it works. If you go into it as soon as that transformation happens with his team, then you can definitely see. Oh yeah, this is definitely like sort of Sentai inspired.
I get it. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, do you have anything else to discuss about these episodes?
Nothing really left to discuss about these episodes. I will say for the next upcoming batch of episodes, we're getting to a very story focused arc.
Good, good, good.
I like to call it the Destiny arc, because that's kind of what that word is being tossed around so much during that arc of the show. But it's very focused. It dives a lot deeper on Ransik. It dives a lot deeper on Wes. It dives deeper on Frax, of all characters. A lot of stuff gets dived a lot deeper on, and a certain surprise guest is going to be appearing soon.
Ooh, the dude in the glasses.
Yes, to do with the glasses.
Yeah, that's all I want to know is who he is.
Oh, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. I think next episode, at the end of the next episode, which is Time Force Trader, you're gonna find out who he really is. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna find out who he is.
Great. Okay, so I know Bryce wasn't available today for this show. Are you guys doing the Sentai show
We're
after
not
this?
doing. No, there's no Sentai wrap up today.
Okay,
No
so
retro
no
Sentai.
Sentai wrap up today. Tomorrow we have the Illuminati Wrestling Order coming in at 8 o'clock Pacific time. Tuesday, the new episode of What If at 11:40 Pacific time. I know that's late for a lot of you guys that are on the East Coast, but if you're on the West Coast and you're
I
gonna be
gotta
up,
catch up on What If. I gotta catch up.
come watch What If with us. I've been loving all the episodes so far.
I've been hearing a lot of good things. I hear.
They're really good. On Wednesday, same thing, 11:40 Pacific time, new episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. We'll be watching that. Come join us for that as well. It's a lot of fun. The show, even if you don't like Star Trek, The show is very heavy with like the Rick and Morty type humor, because that's where Mike McMahon came from. So if you're
Okay.
into that kind of stuff, um, if you watch it from the beginning, you won't necessarily pick up some of the Star Trek references, but I think you'll understand what's going on enough that you should still enjoy the show.
And that's
Um,
like their first. That's like Star Trek's first ever animated show they've done.
second.
Second.
So
Okay.
there back in the 70s, there was a Star Trek animated series with the original cast from the original show doing the
Ah.
voices. It lasted for I want to say just one season though. Uh,
Ouch.
this Lower Decks has already been renewed for season 3, and they're already recording the voiceovers for it. And then
Nice.
Prodigy launches in about a month, and that show looks really good too. It's targeting a kids audience, but when I talked to the showrunners and a couple of the actors from it, they were like, no, adults are going to be able to get something out of this as well.
Okay.
So that's also a fun show, and they also said that it might be a good jumping on point for people. So if you're not into Star Trek and you're interested in getting into Star Trek Prodigy might be a good way to start. And then we'll be back here next Saturday with Retro Ranger wrap up again. So I think that about does it. Make sure to follow
That's
us
about
on
does it.
social media at the Illuminerdi, at the underscore Illuminator on Twitter, the period Illuminerdi on Instagram, the Illuminati.com on the web. Find us on Facebook. Find us on TikTok. I know Jezzer's been working on making some content for
Jezzer
TikTok.
is making the TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that should be fun. Um,
okay.
you can follow me at Vogue on Poetry Slam on Twitter and Instagram. Uh, Jonathan,
You
you
can
are
follow me
Blackwing
at
2099.
I'm done. You can follow me at Blackwing2040 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and my YouTube channel. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, Edward Sanchez Productions. Make sure to follow us to keep up with everything that's going on with Star Trek Prodigy. And we will talk to you guys next week.
Peace out.